Basically, what you've challenged me to do is you've challenged me to talk to you about what I see happen time and time again, which is people have some sort of bizarre guilt associated with money being attracted to them. I've got $1,000. I'm not worth that. I'm not worth that. I'm not worthy. And that's really what it boils down to. And I can tell you, absolutely, 100% with clarity, 22 years as a financial strategist, I've never met anybody who wasn't absolutely worthy of receiving money that they get, including very large, silly amounts of checks. Okay? People have intrinsic value, and the problem is that people are blocking themselves. Somehow they make decisions that there's a guilt associated with making lots of money. And I guess the thing that I would challenge you to do is to start looking at people who you think have a lot of money and start looking for the decisions that you're making about them that are bad. They must have done something bad, or they did this, or they don't care, or there's no value in the world, or it's all crass commercialism, or whatever your decision process is. You need to start being aware of that and give it up. There is power in acknowledging that you're worth something and your time is worth something. And there's a business called monetizing that. If you can figure out what your business model looks like, it can either tell you what you're worth, or you can tell yourself what you're worth and go figure out what your business model is. It goes both directions. Okay? And if you've got a big, hairy, audacious goal of changing the world, you had better be willing to have a lot of money come your way. Unless you want to be Mother Teresa and live in poverty and all of your money goes towards your work. If that's your passion, then be clear that that's your passion.
It's not my passion.
I didn't think it was. Most people want to be paid. Most people like the nice houses and nice cars and things like that. They don't need to be greedy. That's the other thing. What's greedy in your world? How much money do you need to make?
I only need $200 a day passive income. That's all.
You got me going. $200 a day times 365. You need $73,000 net. Because you're going to have a tax impact.
Oh yeah, and I need to pay stuff.
You need roughly $90,000 a year income. $90,000 a year income is $7,500 a month. It's not that much. There's a lot of people that are walking around us right now that make far in excess of that. And they do so with very little effort. So one of the things to look at is that you are a very passionate person. Your passion has led you to do a particular project in your life. Continue to work on that project and start investigating where people find value in that. Let me explain something. If you gave somebody a beautiful work of art and you gave it to them for free, they would probably treat it as if it was for free. But if you sold it to them for $200,000, they would protect it, put security switches on it, put special lighting in it, make sure it wasn't in the sunlight, and treat it as a beautiful work of art. So what you want to do is not discount the work and the value that you're doing. The very act of doing that devalues not yourself, but the work that you're so passionate in pursuing. So don't do that. Recognize that it's valuable, understand it's valuable, talk to people and find out where in their process do they see value. Gee, how much would you pay to watch 15 minutes of this? How much would you pay to be able to access this online? What would it be worth? And listen without the prejudice of, there's all this business stuff and there's money to be made and all that. Don't get between you. Just listen to the message. People will tell you very clearly what it's worth. That's my message to you.
Do you believe people can manifest money and the money comes their way without working or working hard or do anything? It just comes?
I don't believe that it's going to just come. I don't believe it's going to show up in an envelope. I've seen people pray for deliverance in economic circumstances, and literally money has showed up on the doorstep. I have that. My own personal experience is I remember very clearly setting a goal when I was a very young man, driving my old 1984 Subaru around a very nice neighborhood saying, wow, that's a beautiful house I'd like to own. 7 years later, I owned that house.
Wow.
Okay? It was a gorgeous English Tudor-style house with custom-built brickwork on the front of it, 236 linear foot of frontage on it. I know what it's like to set a goal and have that goal show up in your life, personally. I'm married to a woman who I set a goal to marry.
How do you do that? How do you set up a goal? And do you think about it all the time until it happens, or just...
It's difficult for me to describe. For me, it's a switch inside my brain that just gets flipped, and then it happens. Okay? For me, I'm also very, very much in love with Christ, and I know that my relationship with Him, that when I'm, quote, manifesting, I'm actually praying. Okay? And if my prayer is in conjunction with what God wants in my life and His will in my life, nothing's going to stop. It's just go the direction they know that God wants them to go.
Do you have something to say about the energy frequency of money, like what it is? Is it just an energy?
That's an interesting question. For some people, it really is a frequency. For some people, it really is getting tuned in. Okay? For other people, it's more subtle than that. It's all how people define it in their own life. And one of the things that's so frustrating for me is to watch somebody who's out of alignment. You can feel it. You can see it. I mean, it's just plain as day. They're struggling, working so hard. There's no fluidity in their life. And on the other hand, there are people who have tuned in to what it is that where they want, what their zone is, if you will. And there's fluidity. There's no pressure. There's no backfeed. They're accomplishing their goals.